Once again, it's Sports Tonight on Channels Television. I'm Charles Eruka. Well, it's all about age group competitions today, or at least most of it. We're talking about athletics here, and Nigeria's youth team will be landing in Donetsk latest tomorrow, even as the World Athletic Youth Championship kicks off in the Ukrainian capital. Well, I'll say with all confidence that they are there already. Well, the Golden Eaglets, Nigeria's under-17 national football team, well, they have assembled in Abuja, the capital, for camping ahead of the under-17 World Championship in the United Arab Emirates. And beyond that, the very funny side of football, I know that maybe in a one-sided match, you might have 8 goals scored unreplied against a professional football team, or even in the amateur leagues. But then, when scores in football now become like scores in basketball, then it definitely requires some looking into. And of course, not forgetting that over the weekend, precisely on Sunday, Wimbledon witnessed a very historic moment, particularly for the residents and indigents of the United Kingdom. These are some of the things we will be discussing tonight, and a lot more in the next 50 minutes. Is definitely going to be a very bumper package. I'm not alone. The super regulars on this team, Nodi Okonta and Yemi Adebayo.
Oh, pleasure to be here.
Charles, good evening. It's my pleasure.
Absolutely. Now, straight to the matter at hand. The Nigerian youth team is in Donetsk, the capital of Ukraine. Now, a lot of attention has been paid to the IAAF Golden League, and so probably nobody noticed that somewhere in the background, the Nigerian youngsters were also gearing up to emulate the performances of a certain Blessing Okagbare in the track and field events. Now, the final batch of Nigeria's contingent arrived this evening in Ukraine, the capital Donetsk, after spending about 11 hours in the Turkish capital, Istanbul. Well, a very long flight, and I wonder what kind of shape they will be in when the competition proper kicks off tomorrow.
Well, I just hope it won't affect them. Like you said, the IAAF World Championship that we're all expecting and the Diamond League has really made us all forget about this age grade youth championship. And there's a lot to expect. You know, you have 1 or 2 athletes that we'll be looking forward to, because this is the bedrock. This is where you will know some of the athletes that would stay on the scene, probably replace the likes of Blessing Okagbare. And this time, you have a team that, I mean, there is hope. Usually we have hope in Nigeria, but this time there is hope. I mean, when you mention names like Deborah Adewale, for instance, I mean, in the sprints, 100 and 200, I mean, she's a lot of expectations on her shoulders, and hopefully the boys will come good. 17 of them representing Nigeria, 8 boys, 9 girls. Hopefully they will come good.
Well, I wonder what has actually happened to Nigerian youth athletics of recent, back in the 1980s and probably the 1990s too. A lot of Nigerian athletes who became Olympians and world beaters were actually drawn from participation in World Youth Championships. Some of them were actually world champions.
Yeah.
I mean, very good examples are probably the females, Falilat Ogunkoya, Fatima Yusuf, Mary Onyali. These were world champions. Of course, in the male categories, we had the likes of from Clement Nwankwo to Shehu Ogunkoya. And now, all of a sudden, it appears as if the ones that are participating now are just relatively unknown.
Charles, it's not just about going to the IAAF Youth Championship that matters a lot. Right? It's just one of those tournaments. It's the tournament that comes up every 2 years. What do you do after this tournament? What kind of competition do you have in place for this athlete?
How do you engage them?
Yes, how do you engage them? It's not just preparing them for a major tournament. What do you do after this tournament? How do you keep them in shape?
Well,
what kind of program do you have in place for them?
The national sports festivals, the school sports festivals, and of course, various athletic events here and there. I mean, there used to be a lot of them, and all of a sudden...
Calendar used to be loaded in times past.
Exactly.
You don't have that anymore, and of course it's affecting. I mean, you can't be a champion without competition, like Noli is saying. I mean, there has to be competition. These guys have to be active. You have to keep them busy, and when you discover this talent, you need to give them a springboard to rise to stardom. That's what's missing in
Well, is it the problem of funding? A lot has been going into football, for instance, but then when it comes to athletics, where, I mean, for goodness sake, Nigeria's first gold medal in the Olympics was from athletics, even before football.
Even before football, but even of course we try to trace the seemingly collapse of athletics in Nigeria to lack of funding. But of recent we've had moment of at least monetary reward for athletics. Of course, we have some sponsorship, governments coming into play. We have several tournaments going across the country the year under review. We had the African Youth Athletics Championship in Warri. There is the one that was held in Lagos. That was for secondary school. I think it was sponsored by a gaming firm in Lagos. A lot of them. There was the one in Kwara State, organized by the Kwara State chapter of the AFN. So it depends on how do we put these things together. How do you say? Yes, you need a central coordinating point. Because it's not just about organizing pocket of tournament here and there. How do you coordinate this athlete? How do you coordinate the talent? Who comes to monitor this athlete? I think the AFN to have set up a committee.